Hey film buffs, welcome back to Film Feature 43 with The Batman coming out. I thought it was a good time to step into the Nolanverse and rewatch the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy to kind of get myself into the mindset of Gotham and really step into the Bat universe just to prepare myself for Pattinson's turn as the Batman. And as I was rewatching Batman Begins and The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, a few questions kind of pop into my head. There were a couple silly ones like, how do none of the police in Gotham realize that Batman is Bruce Wayne when Bruce Wayne disappeared for 7 years, was assumed dead, showed back up, and then all of a sudden there's this vigilante with all this high-tech gadgets running around taking care of criminals. The question can kind of be asked for a TV show like Arrow, where Oliver Queen disappears and then shows back up. You think that the police would be smart enough to realize that the only person who could afford to be Batman just shows back up after missing for 7 years, and then all of a sudden, bam, Batman's there. Another goofy kind of question is, do the courthouse in Gotham not have metal detectors? I mean, Bruce Wayne walks right in with a gun to kill Joe Camel at his trial, and one of the people with ties to the Mafia who's on the stand pulls a gun on Harvey Dent in the middle of a courtroom, in the middle of a courthouse where security should be a little bit tighter than that, and nobody ever got caught with the gun. And I know that Harvey Dent getting a gun pulled on him is supposed to show that the police are corrupt and the criminals can get away with anything, but that isn't true for the case with Bruce Wayne. He just walked in with a gun and nobody stopped him. So the security in the Gotham courthouse is really probably isn't as tight as it should be. And the biggest questions in this trilogy, and the ones that are a little bit more serious, really revolve around the
but never duplicated.
Best performance of any actor in a Batman film, don't at me, and that is Heath Ledger's Joker. And that question is, where did he come from? And who is he? And why is he? And where is he? And anything that really has to do with the Joker's backstory has been asked and has been theorized on. And so, as I'm kind of asking questions myself on a movie that came out decades ago, I started doing a little bit of looking on Reddit and found a couple theories that I thought were interesting, and I kind of morphed two of them together to be my own theory and kind of threw out the things I didn't like and kept the things that I did like. And I just kind of wanted to throw it out there as my official headcanon of where the Joker came from and what his real backstory is. The first theory that I saw came from a Reddit user named Sharpie_Lynch. It's where I found it first. There could have been somebody who posited this before, but the theory goes that Joker was a homeless man living in the Narrows, and after the Scarecrow released his fear toxin into the Narrows, the already mentally unstable man who became the Joker snapped because of the fear toxins, and that's what led to the rise of the Clown Prince of Crime. One thing backing this up, they say, is the fact that Cillian Murphy has appeared in all three of the Batman movies and the only villain to do so. In The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, he doesn't have a particularly large role, so why did Nolan keep bringing Peaky Blinders back to reprise this role as the Scarecrow? It could be that Nolan really likes working with Murphy, which is definitely possible. I mean, he was in all the Dark Knight movies, and Inception, and Dunkirk. Or it could be that Murphy's just that good of an actor, and bringing him back is kind of a delight for fans to kind of pick out and have a recognizable character. Or what if it's a loose thread to kind of let you know that, hey, the Scarecrow is a bigger character than you think. He's creating this villain that is Batman's greatest nemesis, and kind of give you that hint that the Scarecrow is actually the one behind the Dark Knight plotline as well as Batman Begins. Batman says in Batman Begins,
"Why did you bring me here?
If I hadn't, your mind would now be lost. You were poisoned."
So what if the fear toxin that was released into the Narrows did that to the Joker? What if he was already mentally unstable, a man with no criminal record, just not having his life together, being homeless, was pushed over the edge by the events of Batman Begins? One thing that I did notice is after Falcone goes crazy from the fear toxins, Rachel makes a point to say that,
Isn't it convenient for a 52-year-old man who has no history of mental illness to suddenly have a complete psychotic breakdown just when he's about to be indicted?
And the same could be said about the Joker. He wasn't around really before the Scarecrow came onto the scene, so where did he come from? Why is he emerging right now, and where did he get his scars from?
You wanna know how I got these scars?
This theory posits that he got his scars because he was so afraid that he started attacking people in the Narrows, and that's where he got his scars. Another theory submits, and this is my favorite theory overall, that Joker was a veteran. The evidence that it uses to kind of back this up is that he probably got his scars from combat. He also has proficient use in weapons, whether it be handguns or knives or semi-automatic or automatic weapons and even rocket launchers. He has tactical abilities. He's able to put 2 different bombs on 2 different boats while he's locked in prison, one consisting of innocent people and the other consisting of irredeemable inmates and Bill Clinton for some reason. He also knows that Batman is going to go get Lau from Hong Kong.
And as for the television's so-called plan, Batman has no jurisdiction. He'll find him and make him squeal.
Before Batman even makes that plan to go get Lau, and he can predict each of the mob's steps before they ever make any movements. He has everything planned down to a T, almost to a military precision. He also seems to have interrogation experience, talking about
Never start with the head. The victim gets all fuzzy.
and also saying,
I know the squealers when I see them.
kind of implying that he's gone through interrogations before, but he doesn't have a criminal background that we know of. So it's not like he was going through the interrogations, it was more like he is giving the interrogations. And I really like the veteran theory, but what if both are true? What if the Joker was created by the Scarecrow and also was a veteran living in the Narrows? My theory is simple. The Joker was a veteran living in the Narrows, possibly homeless, abandoned by his country, abandoned by his city, and abused by the mob. The events of Batman Begins really does trigger the emergence of the Joker, but not through fear toxins, not through any fear or anything that he kind of ingests into his system, but from his tactical brilliance, seeing the Batman emerge and knowing that he can kill multiple birds with one stone. A closer look at the just strict fear toxin theory, it really starts to fall apart. In the comic books, we see the Joker being attacked with the fear toxin, and he does experience fear, but it doesn't bother him at all. He's psychotic. Fear isn't a motivator for him. In the Nolanverse, he's making decisions not out of fear, it's out of the precision of a plan.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
Everything that he does is rational, however immoral that it may be. He really seems to get angry when people call him crazy.
You're crazy. I'm not. No, I'm not.
Like, he knows what he's doing. It's not out of psychosis. It's out of a stepwise plan. And in America, 7% of all adults are veterans. So that's like 18 million people. It's a high possibility that the Joker could have been a veteran at one time. And a lot of those veterans do end up being homeless. So it's possible that when he came back to this country from being a veteran, that he ended up living in the Narrows in the slums of Gotham, and this event just triggered his plan for revenge. There are other things throughout the movie that hints to military service, like when the Joker famously says,
A truckload of soldiers will be blowing up. Nobody panics. Because it's all part of the plan.
out of the examples that he names of things going wrong that people expect to go wrong, this one seems the most personal. He's also described as wearing face paint to scare his enemies, kind of like a war paint, and it's also said that he has
taste for the theatrical like you.
So, what if this is something he learned in war, these scare tactics to intimidate the people that he's going up against in battle? But overall, I think there's some tragedy in the Joker's backstory. He has no fingerprints like he's a part of the Men in Black, and his face is horribly disfigured, probably from war, and he often mentions to Batman,
They need you right now. When they don't, they'll cast you out. Like a leper.
He also mentions that the police...
See, their morals, their code. It's a bad joke. Dropped at the first sign of trouble.
And it almost sounds like he's talking from experience. Tying it all together, I think that the Joker was special ops in the military, and he did something that went over the line, causing a terrible accident that disfigured himself. This got him dishonorably discharged from the military, and would explain his tactical training, his interrogation training, his visible scars on his face, and his distrust for authority. The Joker's then forced to live in the Narrows, where he's treated terribly by the mob, leading to his hatred of the mob, and would explain why he uses despots that make their home in the Narrows or in Arkham, like the cell phone gut guy or Polka Dot Man. It's the people in society who society threw away. And seeing Bruce Wayne begin his journey as Batman in the Narrows during the night of Scarecrow attack, he uses his tactical brilliance to come up with a plan to take down everybody who wronged him at one time. If this is true, Joker lost his home. Lieutenant Gordon says that
The Narrows is lost.
meaning that the police are pretty much pulling out and they're leaving the Narrows to their own devices. So Joker's plan essentially is a way to get back and destroy the police, which is a symbol of authority, much like the military, the mob who destroyed his home to begin with, and to show the world that so-called heroes like Batman and Harvey Dent are just as corruptible as everybody else. They're one bad day away from ruining whatever legacy that they have, and the people of Gotham will turn their backs on their heroes. So in a way, the Scarecrow did make the Joker, but not through fear toxins and insanity, but by introducing Batman to the Narrows, where Joker can see him as a symbol of hope for people, and having Joker devise a plan to not only take down the mob who wronged him, but the police who are symbols of authority.
They're only as good as the world allows them to be.
And the heroes that everyone looks to for their hope. At least that's what I think. So let me know if you guys agree with me, or if you have your own theories of where the Joker came from. Granted, this movie came out in 2008, so that's like 14 years ago, but it's still fun to theorize about different things, and that's my theory on the Joker. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.